Hello everybody, it is 10:04 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, August 11th, 2016. And I've got you looking at the Earthquake 3D live stream. We're going to do an update on the large earthquake which struck in the West Pacific. In case you guys haven't heard, starting out at a 7.6 magnitude, very large earthquake, shallow, struck in the West Pacific in New Caledonia in the Loyalty Islands. Technically, this is right next to Tonga and Fiji. And if you guys go over to my YouTube channel, and I urge you to do this, click on my name down below this video. It'll take you over to my YouTube channel, where you're going to see a video that I put out yesterday. Let's just go ahead and show you that. Okay, let's go to my YouTube channel, just like you guys would visit there. And we'll go down the list here, and you'll see this video right here with 12,354 views? Well, this video right here warned this area right here for a large shallow earthquake to strike. And that was a day and a half ago. Now, the large shallow earthquake has struck. In between the time where I issued the warning and now, you'll see a single deep earthquake occurred here. It's raised high off the globe. Earthquake 3D, the higher these are off the planet, the deeper they are down into the earth. So you'll see the deep earthquake occurred first, followed by a nearby shallow larger earthquake, and this one was 3 magnitudes larger than the deep earthquake. What does this mean? Well, we need to watch for compensation movement 7.0 or equal to strike over to the east in the east-southeast Pacific. This could go as far north as South Central America. So guys, we really need to be on watch. South Central America, South America, for compensation movement off this 7.0. In addition to that, off the west coast, now you'll be able to see the 5.1 that struck a couple days ago. Let's turn this down and you'll see a 3.2 up here in Yellowstone, the largest earthquake of the bunch to strike today. Well, the 3.2 struck right in the middle of our warn zone for the U.S. In that very same video, this video right here, noteworthy 5.1 earthquake hits Northwest California. I also warn in the U.S., in addition to the West Pacific, I go over the U.S. and I talk about how Yellowstone's going to start seeing a new swarm after the 5.1. So the 5.1 struck, there it is, the big rings on the screen. Now it's been followed by a 3.2 to the east. Then, to top it all off, further to the east, over in South Illinois at the fracking operations. This is just a few miles east of where I am, guys, about 80 to 90 miles east of St. Louis. Fracking operations there at the Indiana-Illinois border are being struck. Now, why is this all occurring? Well, 5 on the west coast, 4 in the Midwest. Take a look at that, guys. 4 struck yesterday, right in the warn zone. We warned for a 4 yesterday in Oklahoma, and a 4 yesterday in Oklahoma struck. Followed today by moderate movement to the east, near 3.0 activity, along the New Madrid seismic zone and at that Illinois fracking operation. So the whole craton has moved, all right? And sorry if we've got cat battles going on in the background right now. So overall, it's a lot of activity to see strike, and the 7.2 struck, but it didn't cause any kind of wave movement. So no tsunamis went into event mode, no tsunami warning issued, and that's normal. With a 7.0 range earthquake, I'll use a 7.2 that struck in Japan as an example. Back in 2011, 2 days before the megaquake, there was a 7.2 in Japan. It generated like a 2-foot wave. I mean, it was just a really small little wave. But then 2 days later, the 9.0 earthquake struck. So here we have another 7.2 at a shallow level. We have to watch for nearby movement to the 7.2. In addition to everything else around the plate, nearby this zone should also show movement in one of the silent zones. Well, silent zone to the west, take a look at it. Papua New Guinea, it's kind of in between those 2 spots that haven't moved yet. And then down here to the south, and let's get the rings turned down so we can just see the area in question. And this goes from Fiji south through New Zealand down to the south tip of New Zealand. Where does that put us? Puts us back down into New Zealand itself, middle of New Zealand, near Christchurch. So possibly just a little bit further north. Again, the middle of the zone, the starts up here and goes all the way down to here. So our middle zone could be actually in the North Island of New Zealand instead of Christchurch. I should revise that and put it just a little bit further to the north. Compensation movement's what we're looking for, guys. So it could get rather large because we're looking at a 7.2 that's already there. And when I say rather large, it takes us above upper 5 into that low 6 range, as adjacent movement could spread out across the area. We would hope for a swarm of 5s. That's what we hope for. You hope for less, but you plan for more. And the middle of each silent zone should be the spot to be hit next. This includes Japan, which we have a silent zone starting in North Philippines, going up the fault zone. Check this out. Here's North Philippines, going up the fault zone to Taiwan, then going up through Japan, follow the fault zone, up through the Aleutian Island chain, up into the Kuril Islands, up in the Kuril Islands, over to the Aleutian Island chain. Well, the middle of that point, where are we looking at here? If we take the fault zone bends into account, we're looking at, again, down into the coast of Honshu, where the 9.0 earthquake struck in 2011, the megaquake. And that spot should get hit again. It's the middle of the zone, and the combined total we have to look for between the two is all the 4s to the south and 4s up to the north. While I'm counting near 10 4s to the south and 1 4 to the north, this puts us back up into the low to mid 5.0 range off the coast of Honshu. Because the 7's in the mix, it may go a little bit up, but we watch for mid 5, hope for mid 5, and I'm basing it upon all the other 4s. I wouldn't expect the 7 to cause compensation movement up in Japan yet. But again, I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We need to be aware this is going on now. People in Japan, people on the West Coast, people in Central America, South America, all need to be watching what's going down right now. Usually, within a day or two, we see compensation movement over to the east off something this size in the West Pacific. It happens too many times to be a coincidence. And the way it usually goes across, see these lateral fracture zones going east to west? All right, going across the screen here. They connect from over in Fiji across to South America. And we usually see the earthquakes progress across this way to South America. All right? So, that all being said, let's quickly turn on the USGS last 24-hour feed. This is going to show us all the smaller earthquakes which struck. And you'll see some stacks of earthquakes here in California. Let's turn down the rings. Okay, and this lets us know there's something coming off the coast of California, and we're most likely going to be seeing 4 to 5.0 activity, and I would say upper 4. Why do I say upper 4, and where are we looking? Well, the spot we're looking is north of the spot that was just struck by the 5.1, and the magnitude we're looking for is a combined total of everything we see here to the south and to the north up in Alaska, all the 1s, 2s, 3s, and a 4, plus all the 0s, 1s, 2s, and 3s to the south, takes us up into the upper 4 range. And that's consistent with all the other upper 4s striking around the Pacific. 4.6, 4.7, 4.9 to the south. It would make sense, since we have a 4.0 to the north, that we would see a 4 in between those 2 points in the middle of that silent zone. Middle of that silent zone off the coast goes from Northern California all the way up into Alaska. Middle point takes us further north, actually, and this goes west of Vancouver Island, BC. Okay? So, it's a lot to watch out for. Now let's quickly run over Europe. Check this out, guys. Over in Europe, we saw a 4.7, this is rather rare, strike west of Portugal, east of the Azores, north of the Canaries. Now these are undersea volcanoes at this location. There's several, there's many hundred undersea volcanoes at this spot. But a 4.7 striking there, that comes after all this other movement that struck in Europe over the past week. Now I'm going to turn on the European feed really quick. This is just going to show us the last 50 European earthquakes. You'll be able to see Turkey swarming out, a 3.7 over in Romania, and then 1.7 all the way north. This strikes right at actually this is in Netherlands. You know what? Let me open this up really quick. Let me get the information on this. Okay, you know what? Struck directly at the Dutch border with Belgium. How about that? All right, a Dutch earthquake. Well, that's really rare. And it's just a 1.7, but it's the leftovers. It's the pressure transfers across Europe, like the pressure transfers across the United States. It transfers over to the Atlantic. But in this case, since it's over here on the other side of the planet, the pressure transfers from east, over in the Mideast, across the Mediterranean and across Europe, over to the Atlantic Ridge. The United States, it goes the opposite direction. It starts on the west coast and pushes to the east coast, then out to the Atlantic. And that's what occurred this week. That's what just occurred. And that's why we have a 4 off the coast of Portugal now, because of all the 4s that struck over this past week over to the east. Now, you're not seeing those on this feed because the Europeans only show us the last 50 earthquakes. Here's the USGS feed. See that? Right? See the 4.8s and the stack of 4s? Starts with a stack of 4s over here, progresses to a few 4s, 3 right in the middle, and then goes over to a couple 4s over to the west. Similar size magnitudes all the way across, right? See that? All right, so that is pretty much what's going down in Europe right now. Where do we watch in Europe? Well, our silent zones, just like all the other places on the planet. To get a better idea on the silent zones, let's go back to the European feed again. And we have movement in South Europe, movement in North Europe, movement over here in the Southwest Mediterranean. Middle of this point, where does that put us? Well, take a look at it. It goes from Sicily up through the south boot of Italy into Serbia and all the way up into, it looks like, eastern Austria. So it's a line right in here in between these two spots that should move, and it's combined total between the two, just like all the others. Not a combined average, a combined total. See all the 3s? 10 3s add up to 1 4. Okay, so over the past few days, we've had several 4s and 3s, so that puts us into the mid-4, lower 5 range to strike in this region. Again, why? Why do we look for that? We have to look over the last week at all the mid-4s. We have 4, 5, 6 mid-4s, and then several 8, maybe even 9, 3.0 and greater earthquakes. Well, that totals up to a 5. All right. That's it, guys. That's it. So have an earthquake plan ready and be prepared just in case. It's just a quick update. If you want to jump over to my channel, I've got this all already saved on my channel as a video. So right after the earthquake struck, I jumped on, did the update, saved it on my channel, and it's a video you can share. All right? So much love. Have a good evening, everybody, and I'll be back if something else goes down.